Hello, fellow patriots. We're here today, and I come to see a good friend of mine, Nick. He's a true patriot. He's been awake since. Well, Nick, how long have you been awake?
Well, I started learning about this, the Patriot movement, when I was a little kid at the gun shows. But as far as really being awake, I didn't really wake up until I met a friend of mine who hijacked Kennedy whiskey trucks, and that was in 1970 and 71. And he woke me up as to what the Zionists were and what was going on with the bankers and their plan with the eugenics and all that sort of thing.
Right, right. And just to preface this interview, would you say that they've actually had some victory, a certain amount of victory, and by the way, it's the End Time Watchman, that you've had understanding like I have that they've had an enormous amount of victory as far as their propaganda and mind control goes with people today through the TV and all these different areas?
In my opinion, I would say that their victory is probably 95% complete.
Yeah, I would say you're absolutely right. And, you know, I want y'all to understand in this interview, we have nothing to gain in the monetary value. And matter of fact, we put ourselves in danger by doing this interview, Nick and myself both, and many other patriots out there that are doing it. But we believe that time is near about up and that we must get this information out. And it's pertinent to those that are just waking up. And it maybe gives some more detailed information to those that are already awake and maybe hone their skills and their knowledge of what they need to do before it's too late. Because when the door shuts, the door's shut, ain't it, Nick?
Once it's closed, there's no returning.
Absolutely. Once it's closed, it's closed. And what do you think? What do you think as far as percentage would be as far as those that when this second revolution begins? Of course, you and I know it will because they're pushing us to it because they think that out of chaos they'll bring in that new world order, of course, and they'll use any means necessary. And with this Mexican collapse and the Mexicans coming up here to start a war using the gangs in L.A. and New York, and the list goes on and on. But they'll do whatever they have to do, in my opinion, and from research, to bring about this new world order out of chaos. And but what are your hopes and aspirations on as far as the Patriots getting a victory? Do you believe, as I do, that we can prevail?
I think that it's possible for us to prevail. I am hopeful that there are 3% of the true American citizens that are patriots. If in fact there's 3%, that would mean that we would have approximately 9 million people in the Patriot movement or in the constitutional movement, and I think that it would be possible for us to prevail in an all-out revolution.
Well, that's about what we had the first time, ain't it?
That is
the rest
correct.
of them sat on the couch and pretty much didn't do nothing and didn't get involved. They were pretty much standbyers, you know, and that's about what we had the first time we prevailed. And I know a lot of people to throw this out to me on messages, Nick. They'll say, well, they've got the big bombs and they've got this, that, and other. But you know what they don't realize, and I try to tell them, you know, they had big bombs in Iraq. But look, hey, and the Iraqis stood their ground because they fought guerrilla warfare, urban guerrilla warfare, and we may have to learn some of that in a hurry, haven't we?
I totally agree. Absolutely, guerrilla warfare is going to be that's going to be the order of the day.
Absolutely.
I think that everybody needs to be aware we cannot be on the defensive.
Right.
If we are on the defensive, we are going to lose. Mm-hmm. We must be on the attack, in my opinion.
Right.
Rommel said it. Alexander the Great said it. Hannibal said it. Patton said it. There is only 3 ways to fight a war: attack, attack, attack.
Absolutely.
And unless we are on the offensive, we will not win. We must be on the attack, totally on the attack.
And we didn't ask for this, did we? No, we didn't do anything to provoke this.
It was brought to us and served up to us against our will, and so it's about time that we start fighting back.
Absolutely, and I want you to understand, Nick and I are not promoting any kind of violence or anything, but what we are promoting is this: that we're not pushed. I mean, we're not pushing anybody, but when we get in the corner, there ain't but one way out, Nick, and that's back at them, is it?
That's it.
That's exactly right. And now, could you speak a little bit to the subject of these people that try to live like the Joneses still, and maybe we can wake some of them up and let them know that, number one, in my opinion, if they got the wherewithal and the finances, they better get out of them big cities, hadn't they? Because it's going to start there, ain't it?
Yes, I unfortunately believe that it's going to start incrementally, and it's going to be started primarily by food riots and lack of provisions.
Absolutely.
And in the big cities, and the city people will find out in very short order, probably within a week to 2 weeks, once rioting and lack of provisions come to pass, that they will end up eating things like their dogs, their cats, their parrots, etc., and eventually it'll resort to cannibalism.
Absolutely.
And when people start seeing this, they are going to spread out to the country to try to take what the country people have. But country people in general are more prepared and aware of what's coming, primarily because they're not living in a world of electronic soup.
Right.
And so they have a tendency to be a little bit more aware in general. And I think that there is a lot more patriot class of people that live in the country, and so we probably have a better chance.
And let me interject this. And they're more dependent upon each other rather than the government, right?
Exactly.
You know.
Well, like for an example, I have 3 neighbors. My neighbor, we're all about 750 yards or so apart. My 3 neighbors, and all 3 of my neighbors hire me to take care of their property and their animals. And they bring me food on a regular basis, like a dozen eggs and on every other day, game meat or whatever. You know, I have other friends that live in my area, not directly. They might bring me roadkill meat, and or I make ammunition for some people, etc.
Right.
You know. And we just kind of watch out for each other and take care of each other and make sure each other has what they need, you know, or inform people, our neighbors and Patriot friends. And, you know, so when something comes around, maybe I don't need it, but maybe you do, so
right.
I tell you about it.
And it's just like a big family, ain't it?
Yes.
That's exactly right. And I got to tell you that I've been promoting that on videos I've done about getting out of the city, and of course, there are a lot of others that are a lot more intelligent than me on some of this stuff. But that's exactly right, Nick. We had better start now. Time you listen to this video that Nick and I are making to put out to the American people, you better start. And y'all know I've been doing this networking. My wife's trying to get all this stuff together and putting out the flyers and all. But I'm telling you, we had better have a sit down face to face, just like Nick and I are doing today. You'd better find you somebody in your area, and you better start sitting down with them, and you better start realizing their skills, their attributes, what they have, and what you have to offer to each other, even on a one-on-one basis, and promote that into 10 to 20 if it's available. Do you agree with that, Nick?
Absolutely. The spirit of 1776 must be rekindled.
Absolutely.
And right now, what we're doing here, we're having this little conversation and get-together, is something that probably took place in the 1740s, the 1760s, etc. People talked about revolution. They talked about defending, fighting against the king, and unjust taxation and all the government powers. And what we're doing is repeating history. It's just a lot more high-tech now.
That's right. And that's right. And I you know, he said that high-tech thing. You know, they can have all the high-tech stuff they want to, but, you know, I mean, you cannot destroy the spirit of an American patriot. It ain't going to happen. You might kill his body, but his spirit lives on. And I got to tell you, I was laying in the bed last night, and we're about out of time on this one. We're going to do a part 2. But just what he said, I was laying there thinking, you know, we got to get together with people. We like-minded people. I'm not talking about trolls or moles. We need to be aware of them, don't we, Nick? But
that's for sure.
But we need to start getting together one-on-one, you know, without the cell phones and all that garbage. Just sit down and have a chat and you know, debrief each other on intelligence of what you know and what you know, and I mean, you got to do a real-time basis. You got to get them LPCs to go, and leather personnel carriers, get them moving. And we're out of part 1. We're going to do a part 2. I don't know how many parts we're going to do, but y'all just hang on.